क्या हो गया ये आ गया
स्टार्ट करते हैं ठीक है।
Hi, good morning to all of you. So, session. So, hi, good morning to all of you. So, the session got delayed almost by half an hour today just because of some technical hatches, technical glitches. Anyway, shall we start now? I want to respond first of all. Good morning to all of you. Any one of you just write good morning to me, clear, so that I can feel the crowd. I feel that you are there. So, good morning to all of you. Just report me back so that we can start. Okay, it's fine. Good morning, fine. Okay, great. So, let us start, clear? So, yesterday we began to discuss about India's relationship with regional organizations, and in the regional organizations we had discussed about India's relationship with major countries like United States, Russia, then at the same time other major countries. We also began to discuss about major organizations starting with the organization like ASEAN, then we had discussed about BIMSTEC, then ASEAN Regional Forum, then at the same time East Asia Summit, Mekong Ganga Cooperation. All these are very important organizations with which India is deeply concerned, and just because of this organization India is trying to play a larger role in the regional politics in order to create an image of a responsible country at global level. Clear? Apart from this, we began to discuss about SARC, and we had discussed that even though SARC was established in 1985, it could not emerge as an effective organization because the reason was that it could not emerge as effective organization because because there were two major issues. One was Indo-Pak conflict or controversial issues, and second was obviously trust deficit that was there among the neighboring countries of India just because of the sheer size and population of India. We had discussed even that also, and that only resulted into problems in SARC. But things began to change by the end of 20th century when Indian Prime Minister Indra Kumar Gujral gave his own doctrine known as the Gujral's doctrine. Clear? So welcome to clear. Welcome to Gujral's doctrine. So we were supposed to start with Gujral's doctrine. Before this, we'll have some question. Sir, is Gujral doctrine applied on Pakistan? Clear? If yes, then why Pakistan not get financial help like Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Bishwajit? See, first of all, I'll let you know that any doctrine or principle which is given, it is to be uniformly applied on all member countries or countries to be meant. Clear? In fact, theoretically speaking, the Gujral doctrine applies to Pakistan as well. But more importantly, mostly frequently, Pakistan does not accept such support by India, and therefore, in real sense, Gujral's doctrine does not get proper application with respect to Pakistan. But theoretically speaking, it is applicable on Pakistan as well, even though Pakistan does not accept such assistance from India. Clear? If yes, then why Pakistan not get financial help like Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Sri Lanka? This is clear. Because obviously Pakistan realizes that such kind of assistance is not required by Pakistan, and therefore Pakistan does not follow Gujral's doctrine. But from Indian side, doctrine is applicable to all the neighboring countries including Pakistan. Next is, nowadays we have seen in newspaper that some development of India-Canada bilateral relation. Please elaborate, sir, if possible. Please give us note on that issue. Krishna. Again, I'll let you know. Clear? Canada comes in the region of North America, and like large number of Indians are there in United States, almost 4 million Indian diaspora is there in United States. Even Canada has large number of Indians, mostly Sikh people from Punjab, clear? And in the cities of Canada like Vancouver, in the Canada, in the cities like Vancouver and Toronto, still we have majority of Sikh population, and Sikh people have started to get huge recognition in Canada. They are holding some government portfolios also, and therefore there's a huge investment treaty between India and Canada, clear? So since large number of Indian diaspora is there in Canada, and that too on important post, because Canada follows the norms of equality, healthy ties exist between India and Canada, clear? So Canada, if you want descriptive notes separately for Canada, just remind me later, we'll have Canada also. Next is, what is cricket diplomacy? Is it effective? Cricket diplomacy has emerged in 20th century, whereby it is a diplomacy whereby bilateral and multilateral cricket tournaments are to be organized, so that with the Indian team moving to other countries and the teams of other countries coming to India, it will result into healthy sport spirit, and that will promote bilateral cooperation also between the two countries. Of late, it has required much more controversy because of India and Pakistan again, because India refused to go to Pakistan to play cricket matches, and that indicated huge tussle between the two countries, clear? So obviously cricket diplomacy was advocated as a mechanism, because cricket being highly popular in countries of South Asia, it was seen as a major medium to promote bilateral cooperation between the two countries. So obviously cricket being very popular game in India, India uses the cricket diplomacy to foster stronger ties with other countries. Is it effective? Effective to some extent, but not largely, because obviously it requires huge amount of understanding on both the sides. Clear, sir? Vishwajit, any other question before we proceed further? Any other question before we proceed further? Before we proceed further. Next question is from Parth. Clear? Sir, can we say that all SAARC countries are competitive countries like India, Bangladesh in textile sector? That is another reason for poor economic cooperation among them. Yeah, to a large extent, clear. Most of these countries are competitive countries. That is why recently our Prime Minister highlighted that the most important paradox among SAARC member states is that SAARC member states, that even though they are one unit, geographical unit, they have trade relationship with other countries of the world, not among themselves. It is largely because of competitive character, and just because of this competitive character, they fight for competing each other in international market. That is why they trade with other countries of the world, but they don't trade among themselves. So competitive nature of the trade is also a factor for poor economic cooperation. Even though SAFTA was signed, South Asian Free Trade Agreement was signed, it could not be very effective among the SAARC member states. Clear? So let us start now, clear? So we began to discuss about the establishment of SAARC and the functioning of SAARC, clear? And it started to emerge as a result of Gujral's doctrine that was given by the end of 20th century. So coming to Gujral's doctrine, clear? Now we'll understand about this doctrine, clear? Just understand, right? Right. Indian Prime Minister Indra Kumar Gujral, who was also an expert of foreign affairs, realized that there is a natural apprehension among the neighboring countries of India that prevents healthy ties with India. Even though India wants to promote the image of a big brother, that is not taken positively by the neighboring countries. And this natural apprehension was not altogether misplaced, because all these countries emerged from colonial rule, and they realized that India is the largest country area-wise and population-wise. India can flex its arms anytime, and these countries can again be colonized. Clear? This was declared at this time, and that is why I.K. Gujral gave the opinion, just to make it clear that India has genuine concern towards neighboring countries. India decided to provide provide huge amount of financial and technical assistance to neighboring countries without expecting anything in return. I.K. Gujral made it clear everything cannot be measured in arithmetic sense. So we need to provide quality service to neighboring countries without expecting anything in return, so that neighboring countries should realize that India is keen to promote their socio-economic development on a non-reciprocal basis. Clear? So it was a non-reciprocal provision whereby India decided to provide all assistance to neighboring countries unilaterally without expecting anything in return. Clear? Most of the countries accepted Gujral's doctrine positively except Pakistan, and India began to provide huge amount of support to all the neighboring countries. Just because of this only, healthy ties began to develop between India and neighboring countries, which began to have positive impact even on SAARC as well. Clear? And in the beginning of 21st century, Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh took several measures to make SAARC a powerful organization of South Asian region. We'll come to contribution of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Clear? Right, first of all, Gujral's doctrine. Clear? Next question, sir. Why competitive country students trained by India with scholarship? Is it not affect Indian market and economy? Clear? See, it is basically India has established university and the SAARC only, whereby India provides higher training or learning to members of SAARC nation states. Why? India being the largest country and the developed country among the SAARC nations, India takes the responsibility of providing higher education to the members of SAARC nation states, not to create competition, but to show sensitive concern towards neighboring countries, and they are not capable enough to provide quality education at higher level. Clear? Okay. Next. Is it not affect Indian market and economy? How can this not affect Indian market and economy? Any one of you? How? By providing higher education to students from neighboring countries or competitive economy cannot affect Indian market and economy? Is a very valid question by Vishwajit. How it cannot? Any one of you, any idea? So reason is clear that the members of all the neighboring countries of India can acquire higher education, and after acquiring higher education they need to revert back to their home country. They cannot stay in India for long, they cannot stay in India permanently. Clear? Because according to citizenship rules, they cannot stay in India permanently, they have to return back to the home country. Even the provisions of persons of Indian origin or PIOs are not applicable to major countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan. So obviously, since they cannot stay for long, clear, and rather permanently, it is not going to create competition for Indian youths in economy and market. Clear? Now coming to Gujral's doctrine. Clear? Right. According to Gujral's doctrine, according to Gujral's doctrine, according to Gujral's doctrine, according to Gujral's doctrine, India decided to provide unilateral assistance. India decided to provide unilateral assistance to the neighboring countries, without expecting anything in return, without expecting anything in return, anything in return. Clear? Right. Such non-reciprocal treatment, was advocated to check the natural apprehension to check natural apprehension among neighboring countries, about India, among neighboring countries about India, about India, about India. Clear? Right, next sentence. About India. About India. Clear? Right. Right. Such doctrine, this doctrine led to, better relationship between India and neighboring countries, except Pakistan, Pakistan, except Pakistan, which had positive impact, which had positive impact on, SAARC. Positive impact on SAARC. Clear? Change paragraph, right? Moreover, Indian leadership played proactive role. Indian leadership played proactive role to promote SAARC. Okay. Right. In 21st century, Indian Prime Minister, in 21st century, Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh took several initiatives to promote SAARC. Several initiatives to promote SAARC. Clear? Right. For instance, Indian Prime Minister promoted the establishment of South Asian Free Trade Agreement, to ensure free movement of goods and services, among SAARC member states. SAARC member states. Among SAARC member states. Clear? Right. This agreement, known as SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Agreement, known as SAFTA, came into force in 2006. Which promoted better trade connectivity, better trade connectivity, very important. Another important thing, just understand, clear? First of all, clear? Right, Manmohan Singh being a visionary leader, Manmohan Singh realized that the whole South Asian region is highly vulnerable to natural calamities. Clear? In fact, India itself witnesses cyclones, floods, earthquakes, landslides. Similar thing happens in Pakistan and Afghanistan also, and landslides and earthquakes happens in Nepal and Bhutan, along with Bangladesh. Sri Lanka and Maldives are also on the verge of being flooded, and therefore all these countries are vulnerable to natural calamities. So Dr. Manmohan Singh, realizing the vulnerability of these countries towards natural calamities, advocated that all SAARC members should come together to establish a common corpus of fund known as SAARC Development Fund, so that in this SAARC Development Fund, contribution could be given by all member states, and in case any natural calamity happens in one country, this fund could be given to that country to resolve to mitigate the crisis and to provide relief and rehabilitation to the people. Clear? So this was promoted at this time, that is in form of SAARC Development Fund. Clear? Moreover, Dr. Manmohan Singh made it clear, in case of natural calamity, the victims must be provided with regular supply of food articles to prevent any further crisis, and therefore he advocated the establishment of SAARC Food Bank as well, so that all countries could contribute their quota of food grains into this fund, and in case of any calamity, the food grains could be supplied to the victims of any one member state. So very progressive provisions were provision organs were promoted by Dr. Manmohan Singh. Moreover, Dr. Manmohan Singh realized that level of higher education among the SAARC member states are relatively low, and India took initiative to establish a common university to provide higher learning to the member states of SAARC nations, and this led to the establishment of South Asian University at New Delhi in 2010 to promote higher education among the SAARC member states. Clear? All these developments took place, and these developments promoted the relevancy of SAARC in global politics. Clear? Right, next paragraph. Right, Dr. Manmohan Singh realized that whole South Asia is highly vulnerable. Whole South Asia is highly vulnerable to natural calamities, highly vulnerable to natural calamities. Clear? Right. In order to mitigate the effects, of these calamities, mitigate the effects of these calamities, mitigate the effects of these calamities, he proposed the idea of a common fund, contributed by member states, as the SAARC Development Fund, SDF. SAARC Development Fund, SDF. SAARC Development Fund, SDF. Clear? Right. Beside, he also proposed the idea of a SAARC food bank, a SAARC food bank, food bank to provide to provide to provide food materials to the victims affected by any calamity, Okay, right. Moreover, India decided to establish a center of higher learning, to provide higher education to the members of SAARC nation states, to the members of the SAARC nation states. SAARC nation states. To the members of SAARC nation states. Members of the SAARC nation states. Clear? Right. This led to the establishment of South Asian University. This led to the establishment of South Asian University at New Delhi in 2010. In 2010, right? In this way, India has played the role of a big brother. India has played the role of a big brother in SAARC. Big brother in SAARC. Clear? Okay, now after this, just understand, clear? SAARC again came into prominence recently during COVID-19 pandemic, clear? In fact, during the COVID crisis from 2020, clear? Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi adopted a measure of imaginative diplomacy in order to provide huge amount of support to SAARC nation states. Clear? In fact, it was used as a leverage to promote regional cooperation, and thereafter Narendra Modi advocated a new version of SAARC known as SAARC 2.0, in which India decided to play the role of supporter of SAARC member states in the pandemic crisis known as the COVID-19 crisis. What were measures taken by India? Well, understand this. Clear? Right. India's cooperation to SAARC member states. India's cooperation to SAARC member states was clearly visible during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, when Indian Prime Minister COVID-19 pandemic, when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, clear, resorted to imaginative diplomacy, to leverage a crisis into a mechanism, for regional cooperation. Clear? Right. He decided to launch SAARC 2.0. to SARC 2.0 and decided to work together, work together to tackle the pandemic, work together to tackle the pandemic by sharing their experiences and perspectives, by sharing their experiences and perspectives, clear, right? Perspectives, right? The SARC member states launched SARC member states launched SARC COVID-19 emergency fund, SARC COVID-19 emergency fund to provide financial support, to provide financial support. Right. The unique thing about this fund was, very important, the unique thing about this fund was, the unique thing about this fund was, about this fund was, unique thing about this fund was that it was not to be managed, by the SARC Secretariat, not to be managed by the SARC Secretariat or any nation, SARC Secretariat or any nation, but by member states themselves, according to the requirement. Member states themselves according to their requirement. Clear? Right. With such move, very important. With such move, India has rightly put Pakistan. In a serious dilemma. India has rightly put Pakistan in a serious dilemma because Pakistan had refused any cooperation. Pakistan has refused any cooperation with India since the abrogation of Article 370 related to Kashmir. Since the abrogation of Article 370. Article 370. Why dilemma? Because it has been left to the member states to use the fund. Clear? So if Pakistan does not use this fund, it will not blame SARC or India. In fact, the leadership of Pakistan will be blamed. Clear? So that is why it was a master diplomacy of Narendra Modi. He said that SARC emergency fund will be not managed by any nation or SARC secretariat. The fund will be given to the member states to use the fund themselves according to their own requirement. Clear? Now, if Pakistan accepts that, obviously the Pakistan's refusal to accept India's support will get diluted. And if Pakistan does not accept that, obviously it will lead to huge casualty of people and it will be considered to be a failure of the state authority. Clear? So it placed Pakistan in a great dilemma because Pakistan refused any cooperation from India since the abrogation of Article 370 related to the special status of Kashmir. It became a very important development related to SARC. Clear? Right. The revival of SARC. Next paragraph. The revival of SARC 2.0. The revival of SARC 2.0. 2.0 clearly highlights clearly highlights India, clearly highlights India's response, India's response to the global pandemic beyond beyond regional concerns, beyond regional concerns, by promote beyond regional concern. Clear, very important development. Now, what is the future? What is the prospect of this relationship with SAARC? Clear, right? The prospect of India's relationship with SAARC, the prospect of India's relationship with SAARC needs to be promoted, by India, very important, needs to be promoted by India without expecting much effort, without expecting much effort from other member states, without expecting much effort from other member states, much effort from other member states, other member states, from other member states. From other member states. Clear? Right. India is the only member state of SAARC. India is the only member state of SAARC. India is the only member state of SAARC. Only member state of SAARC which shares common boundary, with all of the member states. This is very important. Common boundary with all other member states. Common boundary with all other member states. Common boundary with all other member states. Clear? So look into this map. Clear? Common boundary with all other member states. So India is the only member state that has common boundary with Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. Clear? Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Maldives. So only member state of SAARC which shares a common boundary with all the member states. Obviously, it is central to SAARC and it has to play a major role, proactive role to keep SAARC floating and to keep SAARC relevant in nature. Clear? Right. Keeping this fact in mind, 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 India has taken a leading role. India has taken a leading role to keep SAARC floating, to keep SAARC floating, even against the differences with neighboring countries, especially Pakistan. Okay, right. The continuity of SAARC, the sustainability of SAARC, the continuity of SAARC will project India's image as a responsible, regional power, in global politics. Regional power in global politics. Regional power in global politics. Global politics. It's clear. So India and SAARC. So we had discussed all these organizations largely related to Asian continent, that starting with ASEAN, then East Asia Summit, ASEAN Regional Forum, and then Indo-Pacific region, then at the same BIMSTEC and SAARC. All these are related directly to Asian continent. Now we'll move on to discuss about India's interaction with some global organizations as well, because these global organizations also plays a very important role, and among those global organizations, one among them is very important, is an organization of developing countries known as BRICS, that comprises of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Clear? So we'll discuss about the establishment of BRICS as a regional grouping at global level with which India is connected globally, and why it is very important, because it is considered to be creating an economic architecture as an alternate to the Western architecture represented by World Bank and IMF. Clear? So we'll be coming to the establishment of BRICS. Clear? So coming to next part, that is India and BRICS. India and BRICS. Clear? So Brazil, Russia, India and China. Clear? So Brazil from South American continent, Russia from European continent, India from Asian continent, China again from Asian continent, and South Africa from African continent. That is BRICS nation state. Now first of all, we'll understand how this organization came into being. Clear? First of all, the idea of such an organization on economic front, is a pure economic grouping on economic front, was first conceived in 2001 by an economist known as Goldman Sachs. Clear? So under the view of Goldman Sachs, clear, it resulted into its assertion of certain economies by 2050 to counter the economies of Western powers led by United States. Clear? And that is why, according to Goldman Sachs, 4 emerging economies were asked to come together: Brazil, Russia, India and China. So initially South Africa was not a member of this organization. Clear? And it was realized that with these countries, they will create the largest economy of the world in coming time. Clear? In 2006, on the margins of G8 Outreach Summit at St. Petersburg in Russia, the BRIC leaders held a meeting and formalized the BRIC group. Clear? And this BRIC group finally came into existence in 2009, when the first BRIC summit was held at Yekaterinburg in Russia. Clear? In 2010, it was decided that South Africa would be added to the group, and it finally became a part of our BRICS in 2011, and since then this came to be known as BRICS. Clear? So BRICS started to form, and the most momentous development of BRICS was in 2016, when BRICS conference was held at Fort Lee. BRICS conference was held in the region. BRICS summit was held in India, in Goa. Clear? We'll come to all this BRICS summit, the formation of BRICS as an organization. Clear? Right, next, in 2001, an economist associated with Goldman Sachs, an economist associated with Goldman Sachs, which is a leading global investment banking, asserted that by 2050, the economies of Brazil, Russia, India and China would constitute the largest economies of the world? Would constitute the largest economies of the world. Largest economies of the world. Clear? Right. With such assertions, the leaders of Brazil, the leaders of Brazil, Russia and India and China. The leaders of Brazil, Russia, India and China, decided to formalize the BRIC group. Decided to formalize BRIC group in 2006. On the sidelines of the G8. On the sidelines of the G8 Outreach Summit. The G8 Outreach Summit in Russia. Outright Summit in Russia. Right. The first BRIC Summit. The first BRIC Summit was held. The first BRIC Summit was held in the Russian city of Yekaterinburg. In the Russian city of Yekaterinburg in 2009. Russian city of Yekaterinburg in 2009. Yekaterinburg in 2009. 2009. Clear? 2009. Right. In 2010, it was decided to include. In 2010, it was decided to include South Africa as the fifth member. South Africa as the fifth member of this group. Fifth member of this group. Fifth member of this group. Right. South Africa was formally included. South Africa was formally included in 2011. Formally included in 2011, whereby the grouping came to be known as BRICS. Whereby the grouping came to be known as the BRICS. Clear? BRICS. Grouping came to be known as the BRICS. Clear? So 5 members, emerging economies. Now just understand, the most historic summit. What do you mean by the word summit? When we use the word summit, SAARC summit, BRICS summit, why do you use the word summit? What does the word summit indicate? Clear? The word summit indicate that such grouping is headed and organized among the heads of the state or heads of the government. Clear? So whenever we say BRICS summit, it means head of the government or head of the state. So it cannot be ministers, it cannot be other persons. Clear? So summit level talks always means that this summit level talks are attended only by the heads of the state. Clear? So when we say SAARC summit, clear? SAARC summit basically means the summit which is being attended by the heads of the state or heads of the government. Clear? Heads of the government. heads of the government. Clear? So obviously clear that this is known as a very important diplomatic move, and summit level talks means that it is always discussed among the heads of the state or the government. Clear? This is one thing. So this is to be understood track 1. Clear? So this is also known as clear that track. Clear? So this is, and that is why diplomacy is divided into track 1, track 2 diplomacy. Clear? Track 1 diplomacy is a diplomacy whereby formal negotiations take place between professional diplomats. This is known as track 1 diplomacy. And track 2 diplomacy referred to conflict resolution efforts by professional and non-governmental practitioners. Clear? So in track 1 diplomacy, it is being attended or decided by the professional diplomats appointed by the government. Track 2 diplomacy is a back channel diplomacy whereby it is divided by the private persons and non-governmental organization. Clear? This is known as track 1 and track 2 diplomacy. Clear? Track 3 diplomacy means people to people contact. Clear? People to people contact. This is known as track 3 diplomacy. Clear? This is known as track. So track 1, track 2 and track 3 diplomacy. Clear? So track 1 summit level talks means the head ought to be attended. Clear? So it's clear summit. Track 1 diplomacy, that is diplomacy among the two countries among professional diplomats. Track 2 diplomacy is a back channel diplomacy by non-governmental organization. And track diplomacy is from people to people contact. Clear? That is people to people promoting the connectivity. This is known as track 3 diplomacy. Clear? So track 1, track 2 and track 3 diplomacy. It's clear. So this needs to be understood. So track 1 diplomacy is between government to government. Clear? Track 2 diplomacy between professional conflict resolution. Track 3 diplomacy between non-governmental and business bodies. And track 4 private citizens also can interact. Clear? So these are track of diplomacy. It's clear? Summit level talks are clear? So at the time of Sri Lanka crisis, India helping Sri Lanka according to which agreement? Clear? India is supporting Sri Lanka because of bilateral treaty between India and Sri Lanka signed in 1950. Clear? So just after India's independence, bilateral treaty was signed between India and Sri Lanka, whereby both decided to support each other. This is known as the bilateral relationship or support between India and Sri Lanka. Vishwajit. Clear? So under bilateral agreement. Next is, sir, there was news that the members of BRICS nation would had their own currency to tackle the hegemony of dollar. So what is the present situation now, sir? Yeah, it was decided to have an alternate currency, but of late, as of now, they have postponed the idea because that was not acceptable to United States. In fact, United States heavily protested against the decision, and therefore the alternate currency was not issued. Clear? As of now, but decision was taken by BRICS because anyway BRICS is trying to create alternate economic architecture to counter the domination of United States and institutions like World Bank and International Monetary Fund. It's clear. Track diplomacy. Multi-track diplomacy, you should know. This is very important. Clear? I'll let you know. It's very important. Multi-track diplomacy. It's very important. You should know. Multi-track diplomacy. Yeah, it was explained very well in this. Look into multi-track diplomacy. Clear? It may not be visible. Track 1 diplomacy is between government to government. That is known as track 1 diplomacy. Track 2 diplomacy is between professional diplomats. Track 3 between business and non-governmental organization. Track 4 private citizens also. Track 5 research and learning and education. That is academicians also. Clear? Then peace activism. Track C. Then at the same time track 7 and track 4. But most important is track 1, track 2 and track 3. Track 1 is government to government diplomacy. Track 2 is between professional diplomats, and track 3 is between the private organizations, or rather the persons, and it will include common people also. That is people to people contact. Multi-track diplomacy. So Yekaterinburg. Now, most important development was in 2014 when BRIC conference or summit was organized in the Brazilian city of Fortaleza. In fact, this conference, that is BRIC summit in 2014, was the first international summit to be attended by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi after becoming Prime Minister for the first time. So, first international conference to be attended by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was BRIC summit at Fortaleza in 2014. Clear? And in this Fortaleza conference only, the BRIC member states unanimously decided to create economic architecture alternate to World Bank and IMF, and therefore all the member states decided to establish a banking institution like the World Bank known as the New Development Bank, and a contingency fund as the replica of IMF to be known as Advanced Contingency Fund. It was decided that New Development Bank will provide long-term financial assistance to member states, and Advanced Contingency Fund will provide short-term financial assistance primarily to deal with balance of payment crisis. That is, same functions performed at global level by World Bank and IMF. So in this way, BRIC nation state tried to create alternate economic architecture countering World Bank and IMF. Clear? At the same time, in course of time, the members also decided to circulate their own specific currency, but that was strongly opposed by United States, and therefore the idea was postponed for some time. But they came forward to establish New Development Bank and Advanced Contingency Fund. Clear? Right. The most historic summit of BRIC nations, the most historic summit of the BRIC nations, was convened in the Brazilian city of Fortaleza, in 2014. Brazilian city of Fortaleza in 2018. See, there was a question from Parth also. Sir, please discuss about IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association. We'll come to that. It's a very important one. Clear? It was also known as AI or ARC. We'll come to that. It's very important. Clear? So don't worry. We'll come to Indian Ocean Rim Association. Clear? So coming to Fortaleza Conference 2014. Right? In fact, this international summit, this international summit was the first conference of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi after becoming Prime Minister. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Clear? Right. During this summit, Fortaleza, Brazil, during this summit, member states decided to establish a banking institution known as the National Development Bank. Known as the New Development Bank. Banking board institution known as the New Development Bank, NDB. New Development Bank, NDB, and Advanced Contingency Fund. Advanced Contingency Fund and Advanced Contingency Fund. Advanced Contingency Fund. Clear? Right. The objective of New Development Bank, the objective of the New Development Bank is to provide long-term financial assistance long-term financial assistance for infrastructural growth, like the World Bank, We'll come to World Bank also, like the World Bank. Clear? Right. The objective of the Advanced Contingency Fund, is to provide short-term financial assistance, short-term financial assistance to deal with the balance of payment crisis, BOP crisis, balance of payment crisis, like the International Monetary Fund, International Monetary Fund. Okay? Right. In this way, BRICS member states tried to create the replicas of the World Bank and IMF, to reduce their dependency on global financial architecture, Now just understand, clear? Right. This decision resulted into the establishment of the National Development Bank as a common bank in 2016 with its headquarters at Shanghai, that is China. The NDP has been established to provide loans to states to manage balance of payment crisis and projects related to infrastructure and sustainable development. Clear? So at the same time, initially it was given to Loan Development Bank and it was separated for Advanced Contingency Fund. The first president of the BRICS Development Bank or New Development Bank has been an Indian economist, K.V. Kamath. Clear? This has been a very important development. Clear? And we need to understand that what makes this NDB different from the World Bank and IMF. It is different because of the fact that here infrastructure has been identified as a priority sector by the BRICS. Clear? So the World Bank was established after Second World War to reconstruct the devastated economies in Second World War. But the major focus of BRICS Development Bank is to focus on infrastructure, because that's the biggest hurdle for economic growth and development. Clear? All this resulted into development of BRICS Development Bank and Advanced Contingency Fund. Clear? In fact, in 2017, NDB had decided to issue masala bonds, clear, worth rupees 300 to 500 million dollars, clear, for projects related to rural drinking water and infrastructure. Clear? These masala bonds are basically rupee denominated bonds that are issued outside India are called masala bonds. Clear? So rupee denominated bonds which are issued outside inside India. These are known as masala bonds, and therefore NDB had decided to issue masala bonds worth rupees 300 to $5 million, that is Indian denominated bonds, related to promotion of rural drinking water and infrastructure. So in this way, this has become highly relevant for countries like India. Clear? In fact, India has adopted five-pronged strategy approach in BRICS. Clear? Five-pronged strategy is basically to promote innovative cooperative mechanism like track to diplomacy. That is, track to diplomacy means promotion among the professional diplomats between the among the major countries. At the same time, to continue with existing cooperative mechanism, deepen institution building approach, and implement previous summit decisions and integrate cooperative mechanisms. All this has resulted into better development among the BRIC nation states. Clear? So it has come out to be a very important organization for India. Clear? Right here, the new development bank was established in 2016 in the Chinese city of Shanghai, with $100 billion, $100 billion. Okay? Right. The first president of this bank was K.V. Kamath, Indian economist. Was K.V. Kamath. Right. It must be noted that even though NDB is a replica of NDB is the replica of the World Bank, but it is different because it emphasizes on infrastructure. As a priority sector for lending. Infrastructure as a priority sector for lending. Change paragraph. Right. In recent times, clear? NDB acquired attention in 2017 when it decided to issue masala bonds. Clear? Masala bonds for projects related to rural drinking water, and infrastructure. Rural drinking water and infrastructure. Rural drinking water and infrastructure. Rural drinking water and infrastructure. and infrastructure. Rural drinking water and infrastructure. Right. The masala bonds are rupee denominated bonds. The masala bonds are rupee denominated bonds. Rupee denominated bonds that are issued outside India. Rupee denominated bonds that are issued outside India. That are issued outside India. Outside India, worth 300 to 500 million dollars. Worth 300 to 500 million US dollars. Million US dollars. Clear? Change paragraph, right? India has adopted a five-pronged approach. PRONGED. Five-pronged approach in BRICS. Five-pronged approach in BRICS. Right, point wise. Number one, five-pronged approach in BRICS. Clear? Number one is innovation, a new cooperative mechanism. Innovation, a new cooperative mechanism. Like track to diplomacy. Right, track to diplomacy. When professional diplomats engage of two countries or more countries, track to diplomacy. Second, continue with existing cooperative mechanism. Third, integrate different mechanisms of cooperation. Integrate different mechanisms for cooperation. Fourth, proper implementation of summit decisions. Proper implementation of summit decisions. And fifth one, and to deepen institution building. Institution building. Clear? This is one thing. Now, another very important role of BRICS in COVID crisis. Clear? So, obviously, during COVID-19, the most important development was BRICS-driven pharmacy alliance. Clear? So, BRICS contributed significantly by promoting pharmacy alliance during COVID-19 crisis. Clear? It is all known, it is well known to global community that there was a strong global criticism that China have faced in COVID-19, because it is said that from China only the virus is spread to all across the world, exactly the place being known as the Wuhan laboratory. Clear? Therefore, it is interesting to see that China leveraged their position as the workshop of the world and announced their health Silk Road doctrine. Clear? Under this doctrine, the China provided two global hotspots, Italy and Iran. Clear? With the needed medical aid and PPE kits. Clear? So obviously China took the responsibility of promoting pharmacy in different parts. Highlight the two global hotspots of COVID-19, Iran and Italy. And in Italy, China began began to provide huge amount of needed medical help and as well as PPE kits. Clear? At the same time, India as a BRIC member was able to position itself rightly as world pharmacy player by exporting hydroxychloroquine to a dozen of countries. In fact, Russia too sent medical supplies and experts to the global hotspots in the African continent and the BRIC member South Africa. Clear? Or do also hold chair of African Union for 2020, has effectively worked the framework Pan-African Relief. Clear? All these resulted into very responsible role being played by all the 5 member states of the BRIC nation during the COVID-19, and it resulted into BRIC-driven or rather COVID-driven Pharmacy Alliance. Very important contribution of BRICS nation state during COVID-19 pandemic. Clear? Right, next heading as COVID-19 and COVID-19 and BRICS-driven Pharmacy Alliance. BRICS-driven Pharmacy Alliance. COVID-19 and BRICS-driven Pharmacy Alliance. Pharmacy Alliance. Right. It is well known. It is well known that COVID-19 pandemic originated from China, which led to global criticism of China. Clear? Right. Consequently, next sentence, consequently, China leveraged its position. As a member of BRICS, to support people in this crisis. To support people in this crisis. Right. In fact, China announced the Health Silk Road. China announced the Health Silk Road Doctrine. The Health Silk Road Doctrine. Whereby two global hotspots, Italy and Iran, were identified. Two global hotspots, Italy and Iran, were identified, and China provided medical aid. And PPE kits. Clear? PPE kits. Right. At the same time, India was able to position itself. Rightly as the world pharmacy player. By exporting by exporting medicines to several countries. Hydroxychloroquine, clear, very prominent at the time. Medicine to different countries, clear, right, right. Moreover, Russia supplied medical services and exports to two global hotspots, Italy and Iran, to two global hotspots, Italy and Iran. Okay. Right. In the African continent, South Africa, South Africa clear? South Africa worked on Pan-African response, by taking the leadership of African Union, Right, next, above all, the new development bank of BRICS, allocated $1 billion emergency loans. $1 billion emergency loan for addressing the pandemic. Clear? Right. All such initiatives has set an example for global community to design pharmacy alliance for the future. Clear? For the future. So this is one thing, clear? Apart from this, clear? Apart from BRICS. So we have discussed about BRICS. Now we'll move to another very important regional grouping with which India is deeply connected, and we have huge diplomacy stake there, and that is Indian Ocean Rim Association, or IORA. It was asked by Parth also, clear? So now we'll move on to Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association. Just wait for 1 minute. Indian Ocean Rim Association. Indian Ocean Rim Association. Clear? Just wait. इसका चैट मिक्स हो गया है, एक बार चैट देखो कोलकाता वाले बैच का. Just wait, because I am not able to get your questions. I have to get back to your chat. Kolkata batch. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, fine. Clear? So, IORA, at that time Sri Lanka crisis in India. So there was news that members of BRICS nations would trade in their own currency to take hegemony of dollar. So what is the president's will now? We have discussed that question, clear? So obviously no new questions right now, as of now, clear? Sir, few countries agree to trade Indian rupee. Is it any effect India-US relationship? Few countries agree to trade in Indian rupee, obviously. Okay, effect on India-US relationship, because anyway, again, I'll let you know, clear. Even though some countries have accepted to trade in Indian rupee, Indo-US trade will continue to exist in terms of dollar, in denomination of dollar, because as compared to Indian rupee, dollar is more stable and hard currency in the world. So we have a concept of hard currency. Hard currencies are the currencies of those countries whose fundamentals of economy are strong. So obviously, even though some countries may accept rupee to be the major medium of exchange in bilateral and multilateral trade, but as far as Indo-US relationship is concerned, the balance or rather trade will be in US dollar. US may not have much objection if some countries happens to use Indian rupee as the common currency for exchange, like South Asian region only, clear. But obviously it will not going to affect the interest of United States anyway, clear. But if it could have been a common currency by BRICS, obviously that could have countered the hegemony of US dollar, because they are the most emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So that common currency could have created a huge problem for the United States, rather could have tackled the hegemony of US dollar in global market. It's clear, Bishwajit, Nayan, clear. Parth. Now coming to the question, please discuss about IORA. We come to Indian Ocean Rim Association. Just understand, clear. The Indian Ocean is one of the most important trading routes of the world. We know, clear. So we'll come to Indian Ocean Rim Association. In fact, we'll look into Indian Ocean Rim Association. Indian Ocean Rim Association. Clear. So Indian Ocean Rim Association. This is the right map. Why it is known as rim, you will understand this. Indian Ocean. This is India, then Southeast Asian countries, then Australia. Here we have the region of West Asia, and then we have countries of Africa as well. Clear? So Indian Ocean Rim Association. Clear? That is, it is create a rim around Indian Ocean. This is known as Indian Ocean Rim Association. So Indian Ocean is one of the most important trading routes of the world, and to promote social, economic and political cooperation among the states, Indian Ocean in 1995 decided to form a rim association, and it was launched in 1997. Clear? So subsequently in 1997, Indian Ocean Rim Association, also known as Association for Regional Cooperation. So initially it was known as Indian Ocean Rim Association, and then Association for Regional Cooperation, ARC, because it was in the form of arc shape. Clear? Was formed. Today the group has 21 members, clear, in states including India, and also have 7 dialogue partners in IORA. Now what are the core priorities of IORA? We'll come to that. Right, first of all, establishment of Indian Ocean Rim Association. Clear? Indian Ocean Rim Association. Clear? Right, first, right, the Indian Ocean is one of the most important, Indian Ocean is one of the most important trading routes, of the world, clear, of the world, right, to promote social, economic and political cooperation, to promote social, economic and political cooperation among the states in Indian Ocean region, several countries launched several countries launched Indian Ocean Rim Initiative. Several countries launched Indian Ocean Rim Initiative in 1995. Indian Ocean Rim Initiative in 1995, which subsequently led to the establishment of which subsequently led to the establishment of write in capital Indian Ocean Rim Association, subsequently led to the establishment of Indian Ocean Rim Association dash Association for Regional Cooperation, ARC dash that Association for Regional Cooperation, ARC. So IORA and then IRC, Association for Regional Cooperation. Clear? Right. Presently, this group has 22 members. This group has 22 members, including India. 22 members, including India. Now, what are the core priority areas of IORA? We'll come to core priority areas of IORA and how India is involved. India is central to this ARC, that is Indian Ocean Rim Association, Association for Regional Cooperation, IORA, ARC. India is central to this, so we'll come to the role of India and important core areas of this regional grouping. It's clear? Now, we'll have a break for 1 hour. We'll start at exactly at 2 o'clock. Clear? So we'll start at 2. IORA, also known as Asian Regional Cooperation. Clear? IORA, ARC. Clear? So we'll come to this regional core areas of this all grouping. We'll take a break for 1 hour. We'll start exactly at 2 o'clock. It's clear? Thank you.